Boom, boom. This is Kendra. Everybody, welcome back to the channel. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Azure Lane today. So the Skybound Oratorio event is still up. So you want to make sure that you're getting in there and knocking out that event. It's not too difficult. It's only been up for a couple of days. I've already cleared. I'm on hard mode right now in C3. So and C1, C2, and then like the C3, and then you go into Ds. I should have trouble getting to D. I don't see any problem with that. They got a lot of good stuff in there in the shop in terms of getting a couple of good ships. So, but what I really wanted to talk about today was the fact that I have finally completed Monarch, my first priority ship. I finally completed the development and got her up to level 30. So let's open her up right now. So as you can see, she's a good ship. She's one of the most. She's probably the best ship, the best battleship in the game at this point. In terms of your priority ships, she's definitely one of the ones that you want to go for first. And one of the reasons is the fact that she's an HMS ship, so she's British, so she can get buffs from Queen Elizabeth. Which will add to just make her even more powerful. As you can see on the stats, you've got a firepower of S. Her HP is S as well. She has fairly decent evasion. It's not good. And the air is D. Now the anti-air is not a problem because I always pair her with Sandy, which is the best anti-aircraft in the game by far. There's nobody better at this point. And I've got her fully retrofitted now that the mic event is up. That's another event that's up, is the microphone for Sandy. So you might want to make sure you're focused on getting that as well. But yeah, I have her currently paired in the fleet with Sandy, who's been retrofitted. So I don't have to worry about that. And of course, she's not a torpedo ship or she's not an aircraft carrier, so she's not going to have those stats. But these are the stats that matter the most for a battleship, and she's max in those stats. At developmental 30, I mean, her base stats are just ridiculously high. Once you get the final one, that increases the ships out here. +1 to base and main gun efficiency is +15% on the barrage. So if you look at her gear, you'll see that she is getting 210. 210% efficiency on the main gun, or auxiliary gun. So 145 on the main, and even an anti-air efficiency of 110. I put that on just to get a little bit more, but the main thing that you want to do is right here. She does excellent damage. AP shells do excellent damage. She's got the strongest barrage on medium and heavy armor targets, which in 12 and 13, that's what you're going to find. So that makes that definitely giving you a propensity that you want to use her in those last two story levels, because that's what she's designed for. I mean, she does okay damage to light armor, but her modifiers are targeted for medium and heavy armor. So definitely want to have her for 12 and 13 if at all possible. That's one of the reasons I chose her, is because when I was making my in-game fleet, was I wanted a heavy damage dealer, and with the AP cells that she fires out, she just does an awesome amount of damage. She will one-shot elites. I have actually seen that, and one of the things I like about another thing that makes her pretty much OP is her second skill. It says once per battle, when the ship's HP falls below 20%, it restores 12% of its max HP over 8 seconds. Additionally, for every 1% of the max HP lost since it's a starter, it increases this ship's reload by 1. So she gets 2 buffs. When her health falls below 20, she starts to automatically regenerate her hit points. And she gets an increase in her ship reload time, which means she can fire off barrage much faster. So that makes her, that just gives her late game survivability. That's one of the things that you have to worry about with a lot of the ships that do a tremendous amount of firepower is they sometimes get burned down quickly, and that's not the case with her. So you won't have to worry about that. And of course, she has a 70% chance to fire a special barrage, which decreases the speed of enemies by the barrage. That's another thing that that makes her so effective. You know, the boss ships move faster in the higher story levels. So having the ability to slow them down not only increases your ability to hit on your next barrage, but it also increases the other ships in their barrage to hit them. So this increases, you know, that helps with your accuracy, and not only for you, but for, you know, for anybody that's firing on the elite ships, which is one of the reasons that she's so the ability to take down enemy elites so fast. Okay. Now, you know, a lot of people don't talk about her PvP capability because she's really excellent, you know, 12 and 13 in PvE. But since she's in the HMS faction, she has there's very strong options that you want to use her for in PvP. I mean, you compare her with Queen Elizabeth, and that's going to increase just about every single stat she has to even more outrageousness. So she's definitely a beast. So that's one of the reasons I went for her as a primary, as my first priority ship. So I've got her up right now, so I'm going to start working her in. I'm already using her on my fleet, but I'm also going to be working her into PvP as a replacement for Hood. So I'll have Queen Elizabeth, Warspite retrofitted, and Monarch fully developed in the back. So I should see a lot of ability in that to help within my PvP. I'm also starting to work on some other ships. I've also got another ship. I also finished St. Louis. But St. Louis was just a side note, because I'd originally started St. Louis at first. She was my first ship that I started on because I didn't quite have enough HMS fleet points to start on Monarch. And then once I got those fleet points, I immediately switched to Monarch and, you know, finished her out. And then once I finished with her, I switched back and finished off St. Louis before I am working on my current ship, which is wrong side, which is Georgia. Georgia is an awesome ship to have, especially in late game. She's a nuker, single target nuker, and she can just she's just a massive amount of damage capability. So that's the reason I'm getting her, is because I want to be burning down ships fast. She's gonna I'm going to be pairing her up with the Enterprise for my secondary fleet. I'm going to have 2 USS fleets for late game, and then I'll have my HMS fleet is third. I'm going to be working on the IGN fleet as of next, so I'll probably be starting to make some videos concerning that fleet here shortly. I'm not going to go with the French fleet. I mean, I haven't got Richelieu yet. I mean, I've been pulling for her like crazy, but I haven't managed to get her. I've got some of the ships. I've got let's see who we got here. I've got I got Jeanne d'Arc. She's a good tank. Le Glissonier, Vauquelin. They're both okay ships. Nothing to write home about. Byrne has an interesting function being an aircraft carrier, but again, she's not. She's a light carrier, so she's not going to be up there with your Enterprises and your Intrepids and whatnot. And she's not quite even on the fits of Saratoga and Centaur. So, but the fact of the matter is, because of the fact that they don't have any powerful aircraft carrier, it sort of limits them on their capability. I mean, having St. Louis would definitely increase the fleet capability, but because she does excellent damage, she's a priority ship. Don't confuse this St. Louis with the other St. Louis, which is just ST, and then Louis. This is Saint, as in the full word Saint. She's French. But it's still, after just looking at the specs, I mean, Richelieu, you're definitely going to have Richelieu. And Algier you're probably going to need her as well too. Those are the two that I haven't been able to get my hands on yet. I mean, it's still got plenty of time, and I've got some wisdom cubes, so I'll keep pulling for them on a daily basis. Just hoping I can get them. But at this point, sort of one-trick pony when it comes to the French fleet. Still not going to be able to compete with a good IGN fleet, so I'm going to go with IGN, and go ahead and start pouring that. I'm going to start getting. I've got 2 missing ships. I've got the Kaga, but I don't have a Kagi, and I don't have Nagato, which I'm going to work for. I've already got other ships that I need for that. Whether I want to use a Takeo, and I've got a couple of the others carriers, IGN characters from the Kitabuta group there that showed up in Midway, so I can utilize some of those ships possibly. We're just going to have to see, So I've got plenty of options, but I would like to have a Kagi and Kaga, and then have Nagato as a central flagship, as that's one of the best PvP, and it would do well in PvE as well. So, but yeah, I'll have to take a look and see what I'm basically. I've got a lot of ships to choose from. I got Ainami and all those ships as well too. So I've got a lot of ships to choose from. I'm just going to have to focus on which way I want to go in terms of that fleet, and what I'm going to use for its composition, because I definitely want to have another in-game fleet for IGN. I'm not really sure. The Ironblood really doesn't have much in terms of an in-game fleet per se. I mean, they've got Bismarcks, Tirpitz, which are excellent battleships, but they really don't have really what you need. If you want to have a good Ironblood fleet, you're going to basically need an FDG, because she's a beast, and she would be an excellent flagship to base off of, because she does astronomical damage as well. She has the most powerful barrage in the game. So, but she's a priority 2 ship, and she takes quite a bit of points, which I'm nowhere near in terms of having to start her her development. So that's something in the future. But for right now, I'm going to focus on my IGM fleet. I'm really close to being able to craft some of the priority 2 ships. If we go into priority ships here. Yeah, so I'm very close to having the 900 that I could do if I wanted to start Azuma. I'm interested in her specifically because of the fact that she's a Vanguard ship and she has a massive amount of hit points. That's what you get. PvP is don't die. So having anything in a PvP team that on Vanguard with that many hit points, it could definitely make a difference in your PvP rating. So I'm close enough to once I'm close enough, but so I'll probably end up starting on her, because this is almost finished. I've got 82%, so I need 18% to finish with Georgia, and then I'll probably hopefully by that time I'll have worked up enough in the IGN Sakura Empire points to get that, and then start possibly looking at her. As you can see on FDG here, I'm barely halfway. I just since the Ironblood fleet is not something that I've been that's not something that can really be utilized in terms of anything. It's probably something that I might just start doing after I've done with the IGN fleet, and then maybe started looking back with focusing on FDG as the next ship. But it'll probably end up being Azuma, and that's purely for PvP purposes. And that'll be the first Sakura Empire ship that I've done. These ships, Seattle, Kitakaz, even Gascon to a point, they're situational ships. All good because they're priority ships, but just a little bit different in terms of what you're going to see from them. And as you can see, the reason I chose Georgia, if you look at the firepower and hit points, as well as even the anti-air, she just blows. She's much better than all of these ships, except for FDG, of course, who is quite possibly the highest damage dealer in the game right now. And so Georgia, she's a single target nuker, so will work excellent in game. So that's what I'm going to look at. In terms of which fleet I'll put her in, I'm not sure. Whichever one most benefits for it. One of the things I was looking about pairing her with Hood was the fact that Hood would slow down those elite bosses, allowing her to nuke them. But Monarch is powerful enough on her own to do it. So that, it's just something I got to look at before I make a decision. But I've got a lot of options, and that's what I'm looking for is options. I'll have to see what works best. So after this event's over, I'm going to start focusing on getting Nagato. I believe she's in 10. I believe so. I think she's in 10. Yeah, I believe she's in 10. So I'll just have to pick out that and just farm that particular one. I can do that fairly easy right now. So it shouldn't be a problem. So remember, don't neglect these priority ships, because they're definitely something to help maximize your fleet. You got to understand that the priority 1 ships, which is where you want to start at, it takes, I think, something like, was it 343? I think it's 343 blueprints to actually do the full 30 development to 30, which is, that's a lot of blueprints. And really, one of the only places that you can really get them is in the mission, the event shops, whichever they are. They always have some blueprints in here for it can be used as Seattle, Georgia, Kittikaz, or any of the Series 1, which is what Monarch is. So they always have these in the shop. They always have these in the event shop, so you can get them there, and you can also get them from your actual Research Academy. Every now and then you'll see they'll always have some type of research that you can do that'll have a chance to get a Monarch blueprint. Okay, it's random numbers, so you won't always get it. But every now and then you'll see a research project, and it has a picture of Monarch up here. That's a guaranteed pull. When it's finished, you'll get a guaranteed at least one Monarch blueprint. So you want to look for those whenever you see those. Take those. Usually like 3,000. It's usually what 3,000 coins to rent it. So so you always want to be looking for those. That's the quickest way to get there. But 343, it takes months. It's not something that you could just pick up and do and have it ready to go in a week or two. That's not feasible. It takes a really long time to get all the blueprints. So that's what you want to look for. Now, in terms of IGN fleet composition, that's probably going to take me a little while to get, but I will come back with another video here shortly. Hopefully once I've gotten Richelieu, and we'll take a look at the stats. But basically what I'm seeing and what I've been able to piece together from the wiki and stuff, the fleet, it's not going to be a bad fleet. It's going to be viable, but it's not going to be as strong as your USS, HMS, IGN fleets in terms of what the meta is. You should still be able to beat the game with a French fleet. Don't get me wrong; it's more than powerful enough to do that. But in terms of what I've got right now and how long it would take to completely get the fleet up in terms of mats and whatnot, I will of course end up having one. It's just not in the race right now. After I get my IGN fleet set up and start focusing on them, and once I've got the ships that I wanted, then I'll start focusing on that. It's going to take me a few weeks to make a determination as to which way I'm going to go with the IGN fleet. But there's already fairly good staples out there about what works. Then after I get it and set it up, I'll have to determine whether or not I want to continue with my HMS fleet. Because I've got mainly my HMS fleet is set up right now for PvP. That's the way I've got the auxiliary. I've got bulges on them for to give increase hit points and stuff like that. It's set up specifically for PvP. It's not really designed for PvE. Once I move into PvE, I would of course have a little bit of equipment change out. And then which will make them more in line with the PvP, and then maybe move my IGN fleet into um, into my PvP realm, and that's a good way. That's one of the things that people don't realize. I don't do PvP to like get in the standings or anything. I mean, that's nice, and that's, you know, but there are two main reasons I do it. Are for one, or for the experience it gives your ships. You can get a lot of experience running them in PvP. You know, each PvP match takes what, 20 seconds max usually. I've never had maybe 15, 20 seconds as usually the norm, and you get a bunch of XP for doing it. And you can do 10 a day, and that resets, and you can do more. And the other reason that you should be doing it is simply because some of the really items that you need to really focus on are in the merit shop, and the only way to get these is from PvP. I mean, look in here. You've got this is Albacore. Okay, South Dakota and Eldridge are excellent ships. Both have very good situational usabilities, especially Eldridge. She's got a funky kit. But another thing is they will have prototype gold bullets in here. Okay, so whenever the shop resets, I've gotten several from in here. Okay, so you definitely don't want to neglect your PvP just to get these bears, just the chance to get a bullet when it comes up. I mean, I just snatched one up recently. That's why I'm down to 17,000. But yeah, so there's, I've got both South Dakota and Eldridge. They're fully maxed out, and most of the bullets that I got for that, I got them from copies in here. So it has its uses. It's just like the core shop. You need to be running your hard mode every day, because the stuff that they give you in here is really good, especially this, especially the Sea Fury, which is an excellent plane, which does a massive amount of damage. You've also got your super heavy shells in here, and one of the best for all your torpedo ships should have this. Okay, you definitely want to put this on any ship that's got a torpedo set, because it just does an awesome amount. That's a Rainbow is the highest level equipment in the game. Not to mention the fact that they have all these specialty ships in here. I'm going to focus on them after I've got my equipment set leveled out. They're pretty good. I've already got West Virginia and Akatsuki, but I don't have Wasp, Fiji, or Musketeer yet. So, but that's something that I'm going to look into. So you definitely want to focus on that, too, by doing, and you get those, the core. They usually have, I think the core event ended. The core event, yeah, they had a 3+ core event. Yeah, that ended. So when you get the core of Marburg, you can get ×3 from doing that. I always run the 3 that I can every single day, because that's what you want to go. You only get 3 a day, so you have to deal with it as you can get it. But so it's definitely good. Okay, so yeah, just wanted to pop it out and let you know that Monarch is done, and you're going to see her a lot more prominently in my videos here. I'm going to start doing some videos as I'm clearing levels 12 and 13 in the story mode, and you'll be seeing her prominently in that. I've got several requests to show some gameplay, so I'm going to do 12 and 13. What I was thinking about doing is as I go through, I'll just do the video and show like do 12-1, or 11-1, 11-2, 11-3, so forth and so on, and I'll just, depending on how long they take, I would expect that it wouldn't take too long. I probably won't be able to do one video, because it's probably going to take probably take about an hour and a half to actually 3-star the entire three-star the entire thing. But what I will do is I will show the first run on each of the levels, and the first run is when I complete it and I clean out all of the enemies, which means you have to clear every single enemy on the board, okay, to get that 3rd star. And I always do that on the first run. So I'll show that on each of the levels to see how it's going, and hopefully that'll give you some ideas about how to build out your fleet. So currently the fleets I'll probably be using on it will most likely be I'll definitely be using this fleet right here. which has got Centaur, Monarch as the center flag, and Saratoga. And then we've got San Diego, Bremerton, and Noshiro. Noshiro's a tank, okay? She's a good tank, too. She's IGN, as a matter of fact. But she's one of the best tanks in the game, which is why I've been using her. She can take a lot. Second, I got San Diego in here specifically because of her anti-air. 12 and 13 air superiority is a must, which is one of the reasons I'm not too worried about Monarch's low anti-air stat. It's because of the fact that I've got such good anti-air with San Diego, and I've got another good anti-air. That's one of the things I like about Bremerton, is that depending on where you put her, she has a different buff. You put her in this slot, you can get the anti-air buff. So that helps with the anti-air as well. So in this fleet right here, you know, this fleet's got, as you can see, anti-air is 20. I mean, it's just like, I think that's way over. I think that's way above what it needs to be. I'm not sure what the max AA that you need. I think it's, but I'm pretty sure it's like 1800. So I really have a lot of anti-air, and I'll be adjusting that as soon as I've got a couple thoughts that I'm working on. But one of the, you know, as to what I'm going to do. So so that's way over what needs to be, but I don't have to worry about air superiority. But yeah, so that's why I don't need to worry about her low anti-air. So yeah, very good in story mode. So that's definitely going to be the one fleet. And 13097 Vanguard, 13397. And I've got my Meow officers, but this is just not working for me. It seems like all of the captains that I get seem to be either Ironblood or especially HMS. I've gotten like 3 Oscars. So, you know, I'm using them and it's giving me some buffs, but I'm not happy with the buffs that they're giving me. I'm trying to get my hands on a captain that's specifically designed for USS ships. I mean, the ones that I'm using right now do help. They give me but they're a general buff, and not focused, you know, of what they're specifically focused for. So they would be a much higher buff if they were on an HMS fleet. But I've already got the same one from HMS, so it's not working. So so yeah, this is not working out too for me, but it gives me a little bit of buff, and that's all that matters in the long run. Any buff helps. So I'm at 13,097 on a Vanguard and 13,397 on the main. So that's enough. Pretty much skills and equipment are in the works, but they're all almost maxed out. I'm not having any trouble taking out ships, you know, doing the 5 that you get from the ammunition from easily, and I can even clear a couple of fleets after that with no ammunition. So they're not any problem. The second fleet that I'm looking at is not quite completed yet from a USS standpoint. This is the one I'm looking at. You know, I've got the Enterprise as the flagship, and I've got Intrepid, and then I've got South Dakota here because she just doesn't die. Okay, and then on the front we've got another ship that just doesn't die, which is the Minneapolis, and then I've got the Indianapolis, and then I've got Portland, and Portland and Indianapolis have a synergy. Portland, I believe it is, has the sister skill. What's it called? Portland, it's called Best Sister. When assorted with Indianapolis, increases the ship's firepower, anti-air, and reload by 11.6. And I haven't quite finished with that skill yet. I've got it currently in. I'm currently in training on that skill to get it up to 10. So that's what I'm looking at. But until that time, I'll probably just end up using. What I'll do is I'll just rekit my HMS fleet for a little bit more PvP solution, and they work fine. Belfast is an excellent tank, or I'm sorry, Edinburgh is an excellent tank. Belfast serves as a tank as well as laying down a smoke screen. And then you got these three in the back line. What I do sometimes is I replace hood with enterprise to give a little bit more damage, because anytime enterprise rolls out the lucky E, you're going to get a ton of damage. So I sometimes take out the hood and put in enterprise. And on rare occasions, I don't like to take out Queen Elizabeth because the buff she supplies is to all of the other ships. It's just astronomical. But that's looking at it from a PvP standpoint. An excellent PvP fleet would be Warsprite, Queen Elizabeth, Belfast, Javelin, Edinburgh, and then replacing a hood with Monarch. And I'm actually going to try that and see how effective it is. I expect it to be highly effective in terms of eliminating, pretty much even some of the highest PvP fleets, because it's extremely meta, and the buff that you've already got a beast ship. You're just going to be more of a beast, so we'll have to see. But yeah, that's something I'm looking at as well. So that's where we're at. So just wanted to throw out a video on that. So go ahead and put a like on the video, and go ahead and click on the subscribe button if you want to be notified whenever I drop a new video. You need to click on that little bell to be notified. All right. So thanks a lot for watching. This is Ken Rear in the Corner, signing out.